Evening all. I'm Epstein with your metal market update, and this update is for the evening of Monday, the 30th of September, 2024, just after 6:10 p.m. Central Time. Well, we are down in a lot of the markets. You're down in the evening trade early on, the stock indices. Most of the metals are steady to lower at this point. The currencies are up a fraction against the U.S. dollar, but the dollar had a great gain day of 41 points, and I felt good about this because I thought the market would give you at least trouble at the 130 level, which if you did your work, that's where the 200-day moving average of closes came in, and kaboom, that is what the market did. As we move on here, you can see the pound is still holding here under 134. It's not breaking or rallying. It seems to have stalled out. And as we step over to the right over here, which are the bonds, the notes, and the 2-year, all the way from the 2 to the 30, we're getting a bit of a rally. Now, we'll talk about what that's off of in a moment. You're getting a little bit of a rally also in the energy. So a couple of things going on. Israel is invading Lebanon as we're talking. How big of an invasion it will be, don't know. They did this before to clear out, as you know, a buffer zone in the, I think it was 82. And the idea was they'll go in for a short while. They were there 20 years. So these type of things, especially in the Mideast, you go through generations. I'm not saying that has to be the case here, but I'm saying the world is concerned about it. You're getting, Erdogan called for the General Assembly to get together and to not condemn, but to put forces together to get Israel to stop it. That isn't going to happen. You got your hands full. But we have our hands full in the morning with more than that. You got the Red Book Group. They're going to come out with your U.S. retail sales data. You're going to get the final read of the S&P Global Group's September PMI number. The ISM will come out with their manufacturing index tomorrow for September. U.S. construction spending for August. That seems so far away, right? Tomorrow's October, but that comes out in the morning. But here's what everybody will look at. They're going to look at job opening and labor turnover survey for August, and that'll be come out Tuesday morning. The market will study this very hard. We have ADP this week, and you have the U.S. jobs report. I'll explain all this in a minute. API comes out with their numbers shortly thereafter at 3:30. The Fed was on today, and I mean on in a big way. I don't know if you saw the interview with Fed Chair Powell. It was on CNBC. I was watching it. And he made it clear the Fed is not in a hurry to cut interest rates. It's in an easing cycle, but it's not like there's, oh, you got to do this right away. Things are terrible. The base case, according to him today, is for 50 more cuts, 50 points more in cuts. That's his base case, which would be 2 25-point cuts. And to the market, that was very disappointing. The market has been trying to argue the case for another 50 and then a 25. So that created a bit of a reaction. The stock market down on that news today. The Fed's going to stay data dependent. Well, that alters what he just said. What if the jobs data comes in terrible? There's a problem. Does he imply that if the jobs data still comes in strong, they will go to 25s? I think that is what he said today. So I wouldn't worry about strong data. It's if the data that starts coming in now is much weaker. And remember, we're a ways off from the November meeting, so you got a lot of CPI and PPI data coming in too. So I said Israel's invading Lebanon at this point. We'll see just what this is going to mean for things. They're attacking the Houthis. They're attacking, obviously, Hamas. You haven't heard much about that because the siege is beginning. And they're going to starve them out as best as they can. But now they've moved their armed forces, and we saw this coming. They gave great notice what was going on. Lebanon said they have moved their armed forces back away from the area that Israel's going to invade to. Could be one of the key rivers. We don't quite know what the goal is yet. And as for the port strike that is due to take place at 12:01 a.m. in the United States Eastern Time at the very last minute, and this is so ridiculous. They have to, they've known this is coming for years, but just now, the Alliance of Ports is offering a 50% increase in wages over 6 years, better health benefits, which I don't know what that means, and they're willing to triple employer contribution to retirement plans. So always, the devil's in the detail. We'll see if that is what the market wants, and that's where you're set to begin. So it is a big news day. Remember, tomorrow we're also going to get a vice presidential debate, and we'll see what both of these men are made of, how they stand up to each other. I can tell you this much. The Biden administration is sitting there with Kamala, fingers crossed, going, please solve this situation. Don't make it look like we, going into the debate, have caused a strike by not stepping in under the Taft-Hartley and saying no strike. If they do that, I think you understand what happens. Then Kamala gets blamed by the union workers that they're being forced to go back to work. So the solution is to get something done. Can it get done before tomorrow night's debate is the big question. This can go right up to that point, but if they go out on strike, it's $4 billion for that day and 3 days, according to what all the analysts are saying, to get things back up to snuff. That, to me, is a lot. Obviously, you know, when you've got an invasion going on now into another ground, Lebanon this time, you get a bit of stability into the oil, or a bid. You're getting a war bid of sorts into the bonds and the notes as well. The dollar, excuse me, had a big bid today, but tonight we're starting to see some of these markets come back. The wild card in all this has been the Swiss franc. It's moving 50 to 100 points like nothing matters. So I keep my eye on that. In the grain markets, you had a good rally today in the wheat market. Grains are trying to say there's more to this market than just the harvest. There are some problems. We'll find out. But when we look together at the gold market, and by the way, do remember, as I get into all this, I have a silver report on our website, and you're welcome to go look at it. And it talks about silver, SIL, SLV. I give you the chart analysis, the seasonal charts with it. We're going to talk a lot of commentary, what's pro and con for the market. Obviously, I'll talk about China and where that comes into things, because their markets have been on a tear to the upside. The impact of world events. I'll show you the daily and the weekly charts on all this and how I look at them, and you put it together from there. To get the report, simply go to iraepstein.com, look on the top left, you'll see the link for it, or move your cursor up here and you can do it that way. All right, so let's go back to the chart action. The first and important thing is, at least going into the first day of the week, you're down almost 0.5% in the market. You can see, but you're still staying well bid over everything. When we look at the chart action, actually for the past 2.5 days or 2.25 days, the market has been backing off. The room in the market is you've got higher lows, higher highs on the swing line. The swing line is a study I created years ago that I can look at and try to give anyone the ability to say, is the market trending or not, number one. Number two, what's the risk number to the trend? In this case, would be not to get under this last low point. Number three, by putting on moving averages and giving you a base point in the market, I say that the markets should have, I don't know if it will, but should have great support around 26.16. I look at the market and it ran, we call that the gorilla glue trade. It began all the way back here, and every day the market was hitting the way up, and then it started rolling away from this on Friday. Today you had follow through. The British pound has got a pattern like this. You might want to look at that. But here's what bothers me for tonight and why I think you are coming down. If we step back to the close today, which is here, you can see that the number closed at 78.96, the red number. That's under 79. I think the pros came out of the market today looking to see if the market can slip further down. Down would be to wherever the 18-day average comes in before the market goes back up here, or both numbers re-embed by the red line, obviously having to get back over 80, which would need a big rally in the morning and afternoon to do that. When we look at the gold-silver ratio, you have come off the lows, you're rallying a bit, but there's a lot of resistance, which means this is a bounce where gold's gaining a little bit on silver, but I don't think it's turned the corner on it. In the silver market, Actually, I could have moved this red line right up here. I'm looking for a pullback like the gold. I see that the market's lost the embedded reading, and I'm looking for reasons to come in. Now, I happen to think where the market's going to find its major support is going to be between 30.77 and 30 and a quarter in the market. We'll see if that works out to be. Copper today, a monster day. I don't mean it's a little day. This is what you call a monster in the trade. A range of 30 cents, 4.79 to 4.49.70, monstrous. Big support waiting for the market down here. We'll see what happens. And what else happened? You lost the bullish embedded reading. So I'm arguing that you're probably going to the closest of the main moving averages, the 100, before you take out today's highs. We'll see if I'm right on that and how the market goes about it. In the platinum, you're already down to the the 18-day average. You've been fighting a battle to stay up and see if you had support with the green line, the 100-day acting as the support. And if you take out today, I'll show you something. Let's go back and not have today. You came down, you started fighting at the 200-day for support with the resistance right here, the green. You slipped back, you found the combination of the 200 and the 18 support, you went up. Now, if you can't hold this green line, the next support is the red. And that's just what the market did. So do we have a trend going? Not really. You got a higher high, lower low. I call it a wish-wash market. In the dollar, how many times does it come back to the 18-day average to fight a battle? Now, I think I said that the major support was 131. I forgot if that was on the daily or the weekly chart, but it's on one of the two. And that was the reason that I told my subscribers last week that that was a short covering area, but I didn't say that it was going to be a big turn where the dollar takes off, and I'm not convinced that's what we've got just here. So I'd be watching all this very carefully. Again, if you'd like to see our silver report, SLV, SIL, go to iraepstein.com. Top left, you'll see it. You can move your cursor to the top here, and I'll catch up with you in the morning.